Yazmeen's on this incredible precipice of her career where she's breaking into the national team. She's getting so many good results at every level, every position that she plays on the pitch. I really, really hope this is the best move for her to move forward in her career and keep that same level that she's been building on, especially the last 2 seasons with Gotham.
Free agency in this 2024-2025 offseason of the NWSL has been insane, to say the least. We step away for 2 weeks and so much has happened, especially with the elimination of the college draft. There's a lot of new signings and every player is a free agent. A couple players have announced their retirement. Number one is goalkeeper Nicole Barnhart. She is stepping away from the game. She's a 2-time Olympic gold medalist and a 2-time NWSL champion. Let's go team by team because there's a lot to dive into. Let's start with Houston Dash because this is a team that is absolutely bulking up. They have acquired 2-time NWSL champion forward Yazmeen Ryan from Gotham FC. In this trade, they also got $80,000 in transfer funds from Gotham in exchange for $400,000 in allocation money plus an international roster spot. But Ryan is headed to Houston. Sandra, this was a really big move for Houston, for Yaz, and a huge loss for Gotham.
It's massive. I think it raises what I think people are saying, some question marks around Gotham. How are they going to look next season? It's not their only departure in the offseason for the team. I'm sure we're going to get into that in a little bit. But for Houston, it's checking off more of those boxes, the boxes that we said we wanted to see for them in this offseason. We wanted to see them get that type of X factor, that prolific kind of player into the mix, especially in their attack. And I think this is a huge gift for them, almost possibly perfect fit for them in going out and getting Yazmeen Ryan. And I think for player, honestly, I think that cranks up a bit of the pressure, though, for a player like this. I think this is someone who was coming off of a trajectory at the end of 2024, bright star, getting call-ins to national team camps, getting minutes, being effective under those bright lights. And when you get these numbers behind a player in a trade, whether it's, the fees, the international spots, everything that gets swapped around, that cranks up the pressure a little bit. It places that onto the shoulders of a player, unfortunately. Like, if you're making these types of moves for this type of player, how are they going to look in the system? And what are they going to offer and how are they going to deliver? So that is going to be for Yazmeen Ryan to kind of to tackle and take care of in 2025. And as we know, Houston hasn't announced a coach yet. So they're getting these players that can obviously compete at this level. But how are they going to function together and what are they going to look like?
I'm so curious what the promises that have been made to bring in players like Delaney Sheehan, Yazmeen Ryan, Kristen Westphal, who are now veterans in this league. With the reputation Houston has amongst players, it's terrible. It's not where you want to go. How many careers have we seen that took a hit because they played at the Dash for a year? So what type of coach are they promising to bring in? What style of player are they promising is going to suit these players? These are such big moves to me that I'm so curious. I would love to be a fly on the wall to see what Houston is telling them that they're planning to do, what coaches they're talking to, because that is so risky. I know that they're putting a really nice price tag on these contracts. These players are getting paid. I'm very happy about that. But similar to you, Sandra, I wonder, Yazmeen's on this incredible precipice of her career where she's breaking into the national team. She's getting so many good results at every level, every position that she plays on the pitch. I really, really hope this is the best move for her to move forward in her career and keep that same level that she's been building on, especially the last 2 seasons with Gotham.
Darian, what would it take for you as a player to go to Houston? What promises would you need to hear or be assured of?
Great question.
The coach is developing me. There's actual goals in place to make Houston a Kansas City standard. They have an amazing stadium. They have great training facilities. They have everything that other NWSL teams want. They set a standard when Houston came into the NWSL. Yet, it's front office chaos that has let this team down for so many years. And we've seen really good players go and really try their hardest at Houston. I mean, Rachel Daly was at Houston for a long time, was their best player by far.
Yeah.
But still was not good conditions from the front office standpoint.
Even
and the
Maria
coaching standpoint.
Sanchez, most recently.
Maria that
was a huge signing
they
for
had
Gotham.
Sofia Huerta.
For her. Yep. There was a lot on paper that made it feel like Houston was going to take the next step, which arguably could be said right now for all the acquisitions the Dash have made in this past couple of weeks, that they are looking to take steps forward to be a playoff contending team, to be a Shield contending team. But I mean, from this conversation right now, it feels like all three of us are like, they're not going to do it.
I will believe it when I see it. I don't have, they've given me nothing to feel confident about for years. When I played to now the post-playing career where we're a little bit more on the outside and have, I guess, less of a personal view on how I would approach even thinking of considering going to Houston Dash. But they must be promising some really, really good shit, because that is not a place, especially watching this last year, how they handled Maria Sanchez, how poorly they did. Coaches, like, the list can go on and on. I'm going to be very curious, and I hope that they prove everybody wrong and actually hire a great coach, and this GM does what she's had a history of doing and redirecting this program to be something that's desirable for players to want to go to, but they have a lot to prove.
Houston taking steps potentially in the right direction. I don't know. We'll see what happens once they take the pitch, but hopefully these players all getting paid big bucks at Houston. That's probably one thing that we can count on, because, hey, when all else fails, pay the players and they'll show up. So Houston, they've struggled recently, right, in terms of play on the pitch, a lot of front office turnover. But another team that's looks like they're struggling front office and with a lot of turnover right now is Gotham FC. They won the NWSL championship 2 years ago. They had a good run in 2024. And we did tease this trade for Gotham before we took our little break for the new year, but it is officially official. Gotham FC has traded U.S. women's national team forward Lynn Williams and goalkeeper Cassie Miller to Seattle Reign. Gotham, in this trade and exchange, they get midfielder Jalen Howe plus $70,000 in allocation money and an international spot. But Lynn Williams and Cassie Miller, two players that filled roles for Gotham last year. I mean, Lynn Williams being an incredible leader, scoring goals. Cassie Miller stepping in when Gotham didn't have any goalkeepers. They go on a run in the postseason, but now they've made so many different changes. They needed to add people in, so Gotham did that. They signed Brazilian international forward and 2024 Ballon d'Or feminine nominee Gabi Portillo. So they lose one striker and forward Darian and Lynn Williams, but then they gained Gabi Portillo. That's a pretty good get for this Gotham side.
I mean, it's an amazing get. Remember when we played coaches? I think I had Angel City. I wanted her to go to Angel City. This is an incredible player. I think this is a great signing for Gotham. Clearly, Coach Juan Carlos Amorós is acquiring players, to me, that fit multiple pockets on the field. She's not just through and through number 9. She can also play the 10. She can play on the wing, similar to how Yazmeen Ryan played, where she's incredibly versatile, but brings the same standard to every single position. You know exactly what you're going to get. So I like this move for Gotham. But what the hell? I feel that we predicted this last year of Gotham, watching all of these signings. The U.S. women's national team is coming to Gotham after they come off of winning a championship. This kind of blue collar, by sky blue, this is the new Gotham type of team, where they were really taking care of the players that had helped build this club up. Now there is a max exodus of players, and it's going to be a completely different culture, identity. I still think we're going to see a lot of moves of people leaving Gotham having to acquire more players. It's very interesting. I don't think it's going to be similar to what we've seen in years past from this team. I mean, you do have a Midge Purse coming back. That's a completely different type of dynamic forward, which is great for Gotham. But you have a player like Ella Stevens, Esther, Gabi Portillo. They all play somewhat similarly. They do. So I'm very curious to see how Gotham's going to handle these changes, and then bringing another 6 in like Jalen Howe.
Yeah,
with Neely Martin, the absence of Delaney Sheehan. It's I think there's going to be some time before we see this team really have the style of play that maybe we're expecting from Coach Juan Carlos Amorós.
Gotham also re-signed Jess Silva, the Portuguese forward, so she'll be there through only the summer, June 2025. Before her contract is up. They signed goalkeeper Shelby Hogan out of Portland. So Gotham got Hogan and $40,000 in allocation money. Portland, they got $10,000 in interleague transfer funds and an international slot. Gotham also signed a college player out of University of Pittsburgh, forward Sarah Shapansky, through 2026 with an option. She was at Pitt. She was a captain. She led the NCAA in assists this past season with 2015. But when you look ultimately at Gotham's roster, they have lost defender Sam Hyatt, defender Maitani, midfielder Delaney Sheehan, forward Yazmeen Ryan, Lynn Williams, and Cassie Miller. They've gained some players, Portillo, Shelby Hogan, and then this rookie to be out of Pittsburgh, Sarah Shapansky. But those are big losses. They have a lot of holes. Where do they need to fill in these next couple of weeks before the season starts, Sandra, specifically when you look about the loss and the gain for Gotham? What are the holes still?
It's kind of funny because I just sort of feel like going over some of these moves with you and you kind of running down the players who are out and who are in. It's almost like some of these moves that Gotham have made thus far are moves to help supplement deals that they knew were going to happen. So Lynn Williams, gone. Portillo. Cassie Miller, okay. Hogan. There are moves that are being made so that they aren't actually losing out positionally within those areas. So I think they're actually doing an okay enough job to sustain themselves moving forward. But I think when you run down all the players like that, it raises questions. And folks who are like, what's going on with Gotham and this and that, I think it's a valid question. When you have that much movement, there's going to be those question marks. And I think if you're Gotham, you're concerned about that narrative for your franchise. You don't want to have the narrative of like, what's going on? Or like, what does this mean? To lose a few players in an offseason where you knew you had free agents on the list, maybe that's a layer of normalcy now that we can look at in NWSL. It's like, okay, here's a few players who are on that free agency market. We're going to try maybe in good faith to negotiate with them, but there's a possibility that we can lose them. But these players that we're talking about are coming by way of trade. These aren't necessarily free agent moves. Lynn Williams expressing that maybe she wanted to be closer, back to the West Coast, so going to Seattle. And I'm sure as a club, they want the narrative out there that, oh yeah, look how great we are at listening and honoring requests and moving players. I don't know if that's the type of backhanded compliment that you want around your club, because the main question remains, why do these players want out to begin with? So congratulations on being a club that wants to adhere to those things and work with other clubs to move those players. But there's still that initial question of why. So I'm curious if there's going to be more coming in the works, like to, what Darian alluded to, especially in coming off of an off season where they were promoting themselves as that, the class of 2024, where they got not just one, but 4 U.S. women's national team players on the pitch. And, whether it was Davidson or Sonnet or Lavelle or Dunn, who we all know at this point was an excused absence amongst this roster for really the entire post Olympics. I'm sure there's question marks around that. What kind of movement will we continue to see for Gotham, and what type of players will that be? If they lose, I think, one of those free agents for some reason that they got in 2024, it's going to absolutely continue to ring alarms, because you're talking about players that you just made moves for in the prior offseason. So it's something that I think we're going to continue to see, because we're still just in the beginning of the new year and preseason is still a little bit away. There's definitely time to make more moves here.
There's time for a lot more to come. Of course, we'll keep everyone updated what's happening, especially with Gotham. Free agency, there were a bunch of other updates that happened. Angel City, they signed a rookie, a midfielder, Macy Hodge. She's out of Mississippi State University. And Angel City forward Katie Johnson announced her retirement. She was a Mexican international. She played 7 seasons in the NWSL. Wishing Katie Johnson all the best moving forward. Kansas City Current, they've signed goalkeepers. They're adding more players between the sticks. Brazilian national team goalkeeper Lorena, she's there through 2027 with an option for 28. So a 3-year contract for Lorena. And also goalkeeper Laurel Ivory out of Seattle. She was with Seattle last season. So Ivory has joined Kansas City Current as well. They've also booked up in the midfield. Kansas City Current have acquired midfielder Rocky Rodriguez from Angel City in exchange for $100,000 in interleague transfer funds. Darian, how is Rocky going to shore up that midfield of Kansas City? What is this move?
I mean, Kansas City need help in the midfield.
Crowded, maybe?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Rocky Rodriguez. I would pull her to whatever team I could if I were a manager. But you think about Kansas City's midfield. They have DiBernardo, Labonta, Debinha, who can play in the midfield. Why is the rookie's name escaping me?
Claire Hutton.
Claire Hutton. One of my favorite players of the last season.
Excellent.
That you forgot her name?
That I forgot. Yeah, it's that we were on a break. Sorry, everybody. We were on a 2-week hiatus. I'm so sorry. But it's another edition where I'm like, how are they gonna fit everybody? And how is this Gotham FC 2024? Are you gonna have champagne problems with players that are expecting to play that now you just simply don't have the room for? There's only 11 players on the pitch. The midfield is tight. It's competitive. That does not change a lot.
Yeah.
I'm very curious. I love Rocky. I hope she gets a lot of playing time, but at the expense of those other players from Kansas City we mentioned, I'm like, wait, how do you fit in where?
What's
it's going to be interesting to see how Vlatko changes things around, but
maybe he'll just play with like
a choice.
Central midfielders or something.
They go into a box
in the midfield.
I mean,
yeah,
it's happened before.
It has happened before. There's been some other college signings as well. North Carolina, they signed their first player straight out of college, defender Brooklyn Courtnall. She's with the Courage for 3 years. She's out of University of Southern California. She was a first-team All-American. Utah Royals, they also signed a college player from Texas, a Longhorn goalkeeper, Mia Justice. She's there through 2027. And Portland Thorns, although we're not talking about any signings, they have announced that some players are leaving the Thorns, one of them being defender Megan Klingenberg. She is a free agent, and she has announced that she will not be returning to Portland, as well as defender Kelly Hubley. Big moves for these players. Sandra, where do you want to see them? Where could either Megan Klingenberg or Kelly Hubley fit in the league?
Look, there's some teams out there that still need to lock up some defenders or maybe get some depth if they're looking for a player like Klingenberg with a lot of experience who still wants to, navigate this latter stage of her career. But I think for Hubley and maybe some of what we've been seeing out of San Diego, maybe that could be a couple of phone calls that could be happening there. I think honestly, maybe if we were just talking about Gotham, and how things are looking on there, and maybe they're a team that are trying to have conversations with a player like that. But I think when we're looking at NWSL caliber experienced center backs specifically, where maybe you want someone to slot in and know that you could just sort of trust them immediately, that's a player I think that you want to have conversations with for sure.
A lot of different players. Yeah, you like it, D?
I kind of want them both to go to San Diego. Stay on the West Coast. San Diego needs help. I know we're talking about San Diego next, but praise be for them because they need some security. They need some veteran leadership. They need players where you know exactly what you're going to get from them. I think they need another center back for sure in Kelly Hubley. And then Kling, a player who can be very versatile, play right or left. Great wing back. She's super intelligent. She's a great leader. I think San Diego needs a player like that, especially with a foreign coach coming into the NWSL. And we know it takes some time to adjust. You need players like a Klingenberg who can help relate and establish that relationship between players and manager.
Paul Brown with us on YouTube saying Becky Sauerbrunn, Megan Klingenberg, and Kelly Hubley all leaving Portland. That is a changing of the guard for sure. You hit the nail on the head, Paul. It absolutely is. Who knows? Maybe they'll stay on the West Coast like Dee is saying and go to San Diego.